and a very warm welcome to ETCIO presents ETStudios Digital Compass Season 3 powered by OPSWAT. I'm Ramanchi Tibari, and for this particular conversation we are joined in by Nitin, Kaushik, who is the IT Application Operations at Apollo Tyres, and Ankit, Jain, Regional Sales Manager at OPSWAT. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us for this conversation.
It's a pleasure.
Now, in this conversation, we're going to discuss about is air gap a reality or just a secure illusion? To start with, let's begin with the core premise. We are living in the world which is interconnected. All the industrial environments are interconnected, be it IIoT, cloud, or remote support. So, if I start with you, Ankit, can we still talk about a true air gap in this environment?
Well, to start with, what exactly is the air gap? We used to protect our legacy systems disconnected from the entire world. We call it true air gap. If nothing can come inside, we can consider or assume that our environment is secure. However, I don't think today it's possible. So it's purely a myth now. Reason being that for any kind of a setup, you need to be connected, you need to be updated. It could be for your information exchange, it could be for your security reasons, it could be for operational efficiency reasons. So now we do not have anything called an air gap.
Yeah.
However, a securely connected environment, I think, is what we all are looking forward to.
All right, perhaps the definition has changed
Yes.
considering the current cyber
So
landscape.
it's no longer an air gap. It's more of, as I said, securely connected environments. So
Securely connected environments. On that note, I would like to come to you, sir. From your operational standpoint, especially in a manufacturing setup, are you still relying on physically air-gapped environments?
Uh, Physically air-gapped environment used to be a gold standard a decade back. Okay. As Ankit was sharing it,
true.
time has changed big times. And ever
In fact, integration between IT and OT has blurred the lines.
that's already started long back. But after the, let's say, more industry adoption of the IoTs related devices, when you're talking about more AI, ML getting the visibility, and top of that, getting it across in fully interconnected system, where the automation is connected to the enterprise applications.
True that.
How to give it across a real-time visibility. So air gap technically does exist, but exists only in a smaller legacy system.
Absolutely.
Rest everything is getting blurred, and more with as time passing by, everything would be going away from the traditional concept of an air gap.
Okay. All right, you talked about legacy systems, right? So, over to you, Ankit. Let's talk about the practical challenges. Be it legacy OT systems, vendor access, or something as basic as USBs, right? So, what are the most underestimated risks that often break the illusion of a secure, isolated air gap?
Oh, well, as I mentioned, legacy definitely had that part where we had an air gap. Nobody was interacting with that network and we called it air gap, right? But for maintenance purposes, I'm sure there will be some certain engineers who will visit the plant, get the machines and systems upgraded, do some troubleshoot to actually, make them better. So that is just one part of it. However, in case the engineer is not able to do his job and he needs to connect to their headquarters for, a supervisory access. So that time they are probably using hotspot from their mobile, getting it connected. So they were literally blurring the lines of that air gap because you are trying to bypass security of that air gap.
Yeah.
And you are still connecting to the to the internet, probably doing for the, it's not just the intent, but even if you are doing it for the right reasons, but still you are exposing the entire environment to all the risks which are available today in IT, to the legacy systems which are in OT. So kind of an overburden for it, but yeah, it is true. So one is definitely on the remote connectivity part. USBs, those engineers, they carry pen drives. You don't know where that pen drive has been over the past a week or so. So, and they just directly plug it in there and get the job done.
Yeah.
Another part, and again, legacy systems, manufacturing setup. So, not referring to yours, sir, I'm sure you do have a state-of-the-art plant there. But for legacy systems, they've grown over years. We have machines which are running for like 30, 40, 50 odd years. The plant grows. Probably they got another land besides the additional one and they started another plant and they just expanded and tried to create the production up to a certain level. But you don't have that knowledge transfer during this process. People change, 50 years is a long period. The entire generation goes by and the new people come in. In absence of KT, you don't even know what exactly is there in your environment. So there's no visibility to your OT environment. So these are certain things which are definitely of concern, but there are solutions around it. So that's what we try to educate and create that awareness around our customers that.
And we come to the solutions in
Absolutely.
because we really want to know about those solutions. But before that, same question to you, sir. What are those underestimated risks?
Uh, I have some differences here on with Ankit on a point. There are manufacturing organizations who have gone through a growth. So, like the example you were sharing, there's a plant which was started 20 years back. There's an expansion which happened 10 years later. And what will happen? Would we have the same machines, same IT, OT? The answer is no. So, at any given point of time, there is no concept of one size fits all. You'll not be able to replace the air gap of, let's say, the existing plant, replace everything all too.
Yeah.
We need to the older system, the legacy system versus the newly established system, which is much more secure, they need to coexist.
Yeah.
Today, the manufacturing world is global. The machines, the power supplies, the IT, the OI solutions are provided by global suppliers.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest risks we are talking about, how to get across a global connectivity to the machines.
True.
There are legacy systems who are running on outdated OS.
Yeah.
How to, you have already spoken about the USB thing and other things.
True.
Most common threats that I foresee is you can secure your own network, but there would be time when you need to expose it across to an external third party. You can use some concept like VPN or encoded tunnels, two-factor authentication, but the question is how secure is the other person, his laptop, his system who is trying to connect to you remotely? That is the biggest risk when it comes to the air gap or the legacy systems in today's environment from a security perspective.
All right. Thank you for bringing that point in. And with that, I would like to move to you, Ankit. See, when we started this conversation, you spoke about that we are, of course, in an interconnected world and air gap is a myth.
Is a myth now.
Now, right? So, given that the perfect isolation is rarely possible now, how OPSWAT sort of help organizations to implement secure data flows? You were talking about solutions.
Absolutely. So not specific to OPSWAT, rather these are the solutions now which are a need. Earlier it might be considered a want, but now it has become a need now. Today, when we talk about isolated systems or the air gap networks, and there is a need to connect to the internet there. The legacy way or probably, a stopgap arrangement has been certain IT products to be used as OT connectivity firewalls.
Yeah.
But provided the way these products function, the base science on which these products has been designed is something which is still compromisable because they are logically separating two networks via software.
Yeah.
This is what we are actually protecting the network from, right? A targeted cyber attack. So when we talk about a targeted cyber attack, even that machine which is being used to protect can be compromised.
Yeah.
So to replace an air gap, we are actually using a physical separation using diodes. Diodes is something which has been adopted by the federal government in the US.
Yeah.
Talking about OPSWAT, we have been covering or we have been protecting 98% of the nuclear power plants in US with the same technology where we are trying to isolate the two networks using diodes because they are unidirectional by design, by physical separation. So we are kind of, as I mentioned, if you can quote my first statement about it is a securely connected environment.
Yeah.
So there's no longer an air gap, but still we are trying to maintain that rhythm of an air gap using diodes. That is
Basically,
one solution.
maintaining the principles of air gap
Absolutely. So
security.
the principles are still there, just the devices have changed. That's it.
All right, on that note, I would like to move to you, sir. We spoke about everything on air reality, whatever we can, air gap reality, whatever we can speak at this stage, right? Whatever we can talk about at this stage. Looking ahead, do you believe that logical air gaps driven by automation or policy enforcement and secure integration will replace physical isolation?
Will, that's not a question. When is the right question? So, agreeing to Ankit, it's already started. The only point is whether it will be able to replace it 100% or not. So, replacement to a logical, establishment, logical boundaries is there. That's the necessity. It's a catch-22 situation. We have got a 24-bar running plants with legacy system with the state-of-art systems. Everyone is looking into real-time data, real-time analytics, connecting it across to that. How to get those to the woods.
Yeah.
So in order to move fast, if we have to actually grow, use the data, which most IoT devices, the plant devices, the OT devices is the source, the code which generates thousands and tons of data every second. How to get it connected? That is the requirement. So there is no other way looking around but going it across into a secured network with a secured connection.
Absolutely.
And also, how can leaders like yourselves can, prepare themselves for this transition?
Other than the technical part, we are missing the most important link in the picture, which is the human.
Yeah.
Ultimately, some person, some individual would be the one who will be connecting it across the devices, will be ensuring the upkeep, will be ensuring the patch, maintenance, everything else. One of the most important part is to ensure that this person is up to date. We are actually ensuring that the security policy, the systems, there can be things like external penetration tests to judge it across. So like we are doing some sort of phishing examples, test and emailing to check it across whether the employees, let's say the office word are good or not, in terms of their understanding of the security principles and policies. Same thing is very, very much important for the blue collar job, people who will be actually engaged with those machines.
Yeah.
Would the machines are tamper free? Okay. How are we trying to ensure that no one actually plugs it across his USB to port and try to charge his mobile phone and then corrupts up the entire device?
Absolutely.
That's true. But thank you so much for that inputs because we are ending this conversation. But before that, I am taking this point over to you, Ankit, as well.
Sure.
So we are missing the human loop in this entire conversation.
Yes, we do.
Right. Talk to us about that, and also from your point of view, what can the security leaders do to sort of, prepare themselves for this transition that we're talking about?
Absolutely. See, security is three P's, which we call it, like a product, a process, and the third most important part is people. People need to understand the product, learn about the product, and then implement as per the process which is defined for that particular product. So these three P's combined makes the complete security parameter true. So when we talk about industry leaders, sir is already here. These leaders, they interact with the people who are actually creating these solutions. Because when we also do our workshops, when we are designing our products, we do take inputs, what are the real life challenges so that the solutions can be designed around that. See, it's not about a company like OPSWAT designing a solution and then going out in the market and then selling it and taking feedback. It's always starts from the problem. Unless there is a problem, there's no point designing a solution around anything of that sort. So it has to be a problem first, then the solution comes into play. So it's give and take relation, trust me.
If I may add one more P to this thing.
Sir.
So coming from the industry, performance is something which is non-negotiable.
Key.
When I actually adopt a process, ultimately, like it's a very competitive word.
True.
Any part of the process or the policy should not actually be in terms of hindering the existing basic BU performance.
Yeah.
Rather, it should complement it.
Complement.
So let's not forget the performance part.
Absolutely.
Agreed to
Thank
that.
you so much, gentlemen, for being a part of this conversation.
That is there.
And from the question that we started with, is air gap a reality or just a secured illusion? I think it's a secured illusion or it's a reality.
I
would like to
call
wait
it a
with
myth.
that.
I'll still call it a myth.
Okay, it's a secured illusion basically.
Yes, it is a secured illusion.
I'll say it's a historical part. It existed. So I'll not say it's a myth. It was there. We have seen it across.
Absolutely. It has worked for a while, yes.
Is it 100% relevant? Then the answer might not be.
All right, absolutely. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being a part of this conversation and being so candid with us. And to our viewers, stay tuned for many more such videos only at ETStudios.